Getting money out of political campaigns seems to be an issue that is very popular among the American people. But the Supreme Court just sided with the Republican National Committee to make it easier for political parties to raise unlimited funds and coordinate with their candidates. At the same time, however, Hawaii and Montana are giving us hope because if they have this novel legislation that could very well undo Citizens United. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's get into this. Now, if we just looked at the Supreme Court, we would be very disheartened because the Supreme Court chose in a 6-3 decision to overturn a decision they made just in 2001. Having to do with campaign finance. They ruled that a 1974 law that was legislated, put in place by Congress as a result of Watergate, they basically now decided that it was unlawful. This law restricted the amount of money that political parties can raise. We're talking about the Republican National Committee, the Democrat National Committee. They had already, in Citizens United, allowed corporate PACs to raise unlimited funds, but they could not coordinate with their candidates. The Republican National Party or the Democrat National Party can coordinate with their candidates, but they were not allowed to raise unlimited campaigns. Well, J.D. Vance, who at the time was part of the RNC, decided to sue, saying that this was unfairly restricting these political parties. And in a 6-3 decision written by Justice Kavanaugh, this Supreme Court, this very extreme Heritage Foundation bought Supreme Court, who, if nothing else, is very pro-business. Just as an aside, it's not a mistake that they said that Trump could not replace Lisa Cook, the member of the Federal Reserve, or the tariffs decision. This is similar. When it comes to businesses and money, that they are willing to protect, not so much our civil rights. Well, Justice Kavanaugh said that this was unfair to corporations that are to political parties, this restriction on it. And he said specifically, whether the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, or other parties, all political parties and candidates going forward can compete equally under the same rules regarding coordinated expenditures and can structure their fundraising, spending, and political speech on a level playing field as they see fit within the law. He felt so badly, basically, about these political parties that they couldn't do what these PACs could do and raise unlimited funds. The problem, according to Kavanaugh, wasn't the fact that we have this unlimited amount of money trying to really make our elected officials corrupt and corrupting our democracy. No, his problem as he sees it is that political parties can't do the same thing. Just, of course, corrupting it even more. Justice Kagan in her dissent wrote, quote, with no limits on coordinated expenditures, the party can serve as the candidate's checking account. And that this new decision would allow, quote, a legal regime increasingly unable to stop political corruption and thus to preserve our institutions' democratic legitimacy. And the court, before and actually upholding the law, like I said, not that long ago in 2001, that was what they pointed to. The idea that having these unlimited funds, being able to raise this, could allow for corruption. This is why the 1974 was put into place. Nixon, as we know, prior to Trump, was the most lawless, corrupt president. And there was many laws that were passed after Richard Nixon to try to rein in the corruption. The War Powers Resolution Act that Congress, for the first time, just passed a resolution under, was enacted after Nixon because of his secretive Cambodia bombings. Again and again, the rules and the laws that happened after Nixon. This Supreme Court, because of their belief in this executive unitary power, this belief in money above all else, are trying to undo it. And this is just one of the things that they tried to undo. And if you want to speak about corruption, you don't have to go very far. This Supreme Court, in theory, could like this, but they see somebody like Trump right in front of them, who is already the most corrupt president, who is already trying to make deals for himself and his sons and others, who are pardoning people because they seem to be wanting to make a deal with him or somehow donating to his campaign. Surely, with somebody like him in front of him, even if they like this theory of being a pro-business, pro-unlimited money, they would rein themselves in. But no, they did not. Now, Crew, Citizens for Ethics and Our Campaigns, didn't have to research too far to figure out the top donors to Trump's pet projects. Seeing this corruption in real time, the benefit they get by donating to Trump's pet projects. The number one was Meta. Meta donated to 6 of Trump's pet projects. Meta, that seems to be all over our lives with social media, getting our information, controlling what we see or don't see, controlling the algorithm. That Meta is also here funneling money to Trump's pet projects. The second most donated, and within 4, was Amazon and Coinbase have donated to 4 of Trump's pet projects. And then the number of companies that have donated to 3 of Trump's project is long. It is a long list. We're talking about Palantir. We're talking about Chevron. We are talking about Comcast. I mean, the list goes on and on. Corporations know that this power access is open for business, and the Supreme Court just made that sign a glowing green neon open for business sign. But all is not lost. Hope is not completely lost because of these really genius move by these 2 states. Montana has collected enough signatures to put on the ballot in November an initiative, the same initiative that Hawaii just used as a basis in order to pass a law. And they did. Hawaii passed this law. Montana voters will get to vote on the law. And this is what the law is going to do. Citizens United said that corporations have a First Amendment right to donate in this unlimited way to campaigns. But those 2 states are changing their corporate code. Now, every corporation in America has to incorporate in a state. Vast majority of corporations are incorporated in Delaware because once one does it, they all like to do it because the Delaware courts are well versed in corporate law. And so it's a very predictable way and place to incorporate. So most of them are all incorporated in Delaware. But they have to qualify to do business in any state once they have a certain amount of business, right? And so, yes, a small business, let's say in California, doesn't really have to qualify in Maryland if they never do business in Maryland. But most national corporations have to qualify in all 50 states, certainly in any state they do business. And in order to do that, they have to qualify under their corporate code. So what Montana's trying to do with their initiative, what Hawaii just did with their law, is change the corporate code to take away the ability of a corporation to donate to campaigns. The idea is that a corporation is an artificial being that comes into life, let's say, based on the corporate code. The corporate code, let's say, defines their characteristics. And so it doesn't limit it. Instead, it doesn't give it the ability to do this thing. A really novel, I think, genius legal concept that Hawaii passed will go into effect July 1st, 2027. As I said, Montana is going to vote for it. And this should, frankly, spread throughout the 50 states. It's, to me, the best way of basically overturning Citizens United without having to try to convince John Roberts, which we will never convince John Roberts to actually overturn Citizens United. We'll be sure to keep an eye on this developing story. So subscribe to the MeidasTouch Network and be sure to find the Mistrial podcast as an audio podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and check out the Mistrial sponsors. So grateful for my sponsors because they never censor what I have to say.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.